Today we are going to give talk is as mentioned in the paper Ariyavasa, the abode of noble ones. It is a discourse delivered by the Buddha and documented in the collection of numerical discourses in Anguttara Nikaya, Natawega, Dasaka Nipada. When we give a Dhamma talk, we typically expound one of the Buddha's sermons, Sutta, whether long or short, as the foundation of our talk. It is also possible to give a talk based on the facts from the Buddha's teaching without expounding any particular sermon like this. But for us, a talk sounds concrete, accurate, and strong when it is based on the Pali text delivered by the Buddha himself. A discourse delivered by the Buddha is called Sutta. Sutta is a Pali term of wide connotation. One of the interesting things this sutta connotes is a marking string or guidelines. When a carpenter cuts a timber into two pieces or into a particular shape, first he marks a line by using a string and then cut it as marked. If the carpenter overconfidently cut the timber by guessing, he would make a mess of it. Only when he cuts it as marked with the line, he would get his job done as desired. In the same way, in the Holy Order, the Buddha discourses like a marking string, mark Dhamma lines for us to follow when we practice. The Buddha has drawn the guidelines on how to observe 5 precepts. We have to fulfill our morality by following the guidelines correctly without modifying it of our own accord. We should refrain from killing, we should refrain from stealing, sexual misconducts, daily lies, and intoxicant as guided, but not to adjust it as we wish, like creating the morality of 4 precepts or 3 precepts by removing some precepts from them, or 6 precepts or 7 precepts by adding some of them. So Sila guidelines don't reduce or don't increase. And the Buddha has drawn guidelines on how to develop concentration Samadhi Bhavana. We have to practice as guided, but not otherwise. To develop concentration, Buddha taught us 40 kinds of tranquility meditation, 10 kasina, 10 asubha, foulness of body, 10 anusati, recollections of Buddha, Bodhanusati. If you want to develop your concentration, you need to develop the virtues of the Buddha. Buddha is free from all mental defilements. Buddha is very, very far away from these mental defilements. If you recollect the qualities of the Buddha, your concentration develop. And Dhammanusati, recollections of the Dhamma. If you want to develop concentration, you can recollect the virtues of the Dhamma. You can recollect the virtues of the Sangha, qualities of the Sangha, etc. And Silanusati, recollections of morality, that means recollections of your own Sila, which is pure. In order to practice this meditation, first you have to be pure in your moral conduct. Then watching your purity of moral conduct, you recollect, my moral conduct is pure. There are no breaks in the precepts and so on. If you recollect your morality, your concentration develop. Chaganusati, recollections of generosity. You do some acts of generosity, then you contemplate on the generosity you have practiced, then concentration develop. Another nosati is Devata nosati, recollections of the Devas. That means that does not mean thinking of the Devas. Recollections of the Devas means the recollections of the good qualities in you. You have good qualities, saddha, faith in the triple gem, sila, morality, sutta, knowledge, hiri, uttapa, moral shame, moral fear, jaga, generosity, and pinya, knowledge. So you have these good qualities in you, and when you recollect the good qualities in you, you make the devas your witness or your evidence. That means these devas, these celestial beings possess these good qualities. That is, before they became devas, before they became celestial beings, and these qualities are in me also. In that way, first you think of the good qualities in the devas, then you see those same good qualities in you. That is called Devatanusati. recollections of the devas. So it is not actually recollections of the devas, but it is the recollections of your own good qualities, taking devas as evidence. Another concentration meditation is Upasamanusati, recollections of peace. That means recollections of the peaceful qualities of Nibbana. It is said that this meditation can be successful, totally successful, only for enlightened person, enlightened yogis. But unenlightened yogis can also practice this meditation through hearsay. And then Maranasati, recollections of death, that you all know, that is about death, that is certain, that is sure, life is uncertain, life is unsure. To recollect the nature of death, you can develop concentration. And kaya katasati, mindfulness occupied with the body. That means recollections of the 32 parts of the body. And trying to see loathsomeness of these parts. And the last one is anapana, mindfulness of breathing. That means mindfulness of breathing in and out. This mindfulness of breathing in and out can be samatha meditation or vipassana meditation, depending on how you practice it. So to develop concentration, these endosity, these guidelines you need to follow. So we have to follow the guidelines without modifying in our own way, like creating new methods, multiplying them into 50 concentration, bhavana, 60 or 70 kinds of meditation. We should not do. Only just 40 kinds of tranquility meditation we need to follow, we need to practice. And there is also a guidelines on cultivations of wisdom, pinya bhavana. The Buddha taught us how to develop wisdom by observing phenomena of several different classifications, such as 5 aggregates, 5 khandhas, 12 sense bases, 12 ayatana, 18 elements, 18 dhatus, 4 noble truths, 4 Ariyavasa, 12 fetters of dependent origination, Paticca Samuppada, Namarupa mind and metta and so on. So to develop wisdom, vipassana jnana, you are practicing to observe Namarupa. You are observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses. You are observing every phenomena occurring at the every Namarupa occurring at the six senses. Sitting, standing, walking, stretching, bending. What are you observing? You are observing these Namarupa, these psychophysical phenomena occurring at the six senses to develop your pinya, vipassana jnana. And you are observing five aggregates. Every seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and knowing, there are five aggregates. When you see something, you not seeing. A rupa aggregate, you capture it. Eye sensitivity and the visible object. Sometimes pleasant feelings, sometimes unpleasant feelings. You capture it, you can observe. Perception, sinya, sankara, volitional activities, and vijnana, consciousness. So to develop pinya bhavana, you are observing five aggregates, namarupa, mind and metta, etc. So we have to cultivate wisdom according to the guidelines by observing phenomena of certain classification. In this sense, a sermon of the Buddha is figuratively called Sutta, a string used to mark a line, a guidelines. So when we are going to give a talk, first we find a sermon called Sutta to draw up Dhamma lines, Dhamma guidelines. Suppose, for example, some people with overconfidence may write on the paper without lines. They may do well to some extent, but their writing cannot be as neat as it should be on the paper with lines. So when we are going to give a talk, we always draw up a Dhamma lines, Dhamma guidelines on the basis of a certain sermon, certain sutta. So the Dhamma lines we are going to draw today is Ariyavasa, the abode of noble ones. As you have already known, in view of the verses mentioned in the paper, so this paper you need to keep properly, don't drop it down somewhere recklessly after the Dhamma talk. These verses contain the gist of the discourse, Pali text. And these verses would help you refresh your memory later in your life. So to draw a Dhamma line, we are going to recite the Buddha sermons in its original Pali language. Try to see the Buddha delivering this sermon in your mind's eyes and listen to the Dhamma respectfully. The Pali, you look at the paper. Tasi me bhikkhave Ariyavasa ye Ariya avasensuva avasantiwa avasaisantiwa katame dasa ida bhikkhave bhikkhu pinjinga webino hodi jalinga samanagato ekarako stura pasino panona pichika sijo samawaya satisano anawila Singapore pasada kaya singkaro suwimota ceto suwimota pinyo. So to be familiar with the Pali, original Pali, can you follow me? Dasi me bhikkhave Ariyavasa ye Ariya avasensuva avasantiva avasaisantiwa katame dasa ida bhikkhave bhikkhu pinjinga webino hodi jalinga samanagato ekarako chatura paseno panona pichega sejo samawaya satisano anawila Singapore pasada gaya singkaro suwimoda sejo suwimoda pinyo. Can we read together? Dasai me bhikkhave Ariyavasa ye Ariya avasensuva avasantiva avasaisantiwa katame dasa ida bhikkhave bhikkhu pinjinga webino hodi jalinga samanagato ekarako chatura pasino panona pichega sajo samawaya satisano anawila Singapore pasada gaya singkaro suwimoda ceto suwimoda pinyo. So translation, can you follow me? To abandon the five factors, to be fulfilled with the six factors, and one protection, to depend on the false supports, and to dispel personal truths, to be free from searching, to have pure thoughts, to come the in and out breath, to have a well-liberated mind and well-liberated wisdom. The Buddha expounded the 10 features of Ariyavasa. So there is Pali text and the translation, original Pali text. So dasi me bhikkhave Ariyavasa ye Ariya awase suva avasantiwa awase santiwa katame dasa. That means bhikkhus, there are 10 kinds of abodes in which the noble ones lived in the past. Noble ones stay living in the present. Noble ones will live in the future. So Ariya, the abode in which noble ones dwell, is called Ariyavasa. Ariya refers to 8 noble ones, and Avasa means abode or residence. Here it is noble residency. The 8 noble ones are Sotabati Magata, Sagadami Magata, Anagami Magata, Arata Magata. So 4 Magata, 4 megaperson. Sotabati Palata, Sagadagami Palata, Anagami Palata, Arata Palata. 4 Palata person. So Sotabati Magata, that means the person who have attained Sotabati Mega. Sakadami Magata means the person who have attained Sakadami Mega. Anagami Magata means the person who have attained Anagami Magata. Arata Magata means the person who have attained Arata Magata. So how many Magata? How many megapercent? 4. 4 Magata. 4 path achiever, 4 persons who attain 4 megas. And 4 Falata, 4 fruition achiever, that means Sotabana, that is the person who have attained Sotabadi fruition. Sakadami, Sakadagami, that means the person who have attained Sakadagami fruition. Anagami means non-returner, the person who have attained Anagami fruition. And Arahant, that is the person who have attained Arata fruition. So path achiever is Magata, which literally means the person who has been well established on the path, Eightfold Noble Path. So actually it is difficult to identify 4 Magata, 4 path achiever. Why? because mega is just a first single moment of a certain stage of enlightenment. The person attain enlightenment and enlightenment eradicate is corresponding mental defilements once and for all as its very first moment. So as at its subsequent moments, there is no mental defilements for it to eradicate. So the first single moment of enlightenment is called mega path, and its subsequent moments are called phala, fruition. A vipassana practitioner will experience nibbana at the moment when his insight or her insight accumulates in the path enlightenment. The durations of such spiritual culmination, mega, is just a single moment, not 1 minute, not half a minute, not even 1 second. Very, very fast. Only as such very short moment is the noble one's Ariya called Magata, path achiever. And the path is immediately succeeded by the same state of enlightenment. But another name, by the name of Ariyavasa, noble fruition. From this moment on, that person is called Palata, fruition achiever. So in brief, we can only identify 4 Palata, 4 fruition achiever, 4 persons who have attained fruition as Ariyas, noble ones. So Vipassana meditators have been very familiar with these terms because you are aiming these goal, these destination. But we have to touch on them for this discourse to be comprehensive. In the olden days, where did Ariya dwell? Where did noble ones dwell? Noble ones dwelt in Ariyavasa in the past. Houses or residences are where people dwell. A monastery or nunneries are where the monastic dwell. In the same way, Ariyavasa is where noble ones dwell. For example, in the past, there lived countless noble ones during the dispensations of Kassapa Buddha that preceded our Gautama Buddha. These Buddha also dwell in this very Ariyavasa. So too the noble ones who had lived during the dispensations of Konagamana Buddha. Who preceded the Kassapa Buddha had also dwelt this Ariyavasa, and so too had the noble ones during the dispensations of even earlier Buddhas, such as Kakusanda Buddha and countless other Buddhas in the past. So many Buddhas appeared in this world. Kakusanda Buddha, Konagamana Buddha, Kassapa Buddha, Gautama Buddha. So in this planet known as Bhattacapa, 4 Buddhas, Kakusanda Buddha, Konagamana Buddha, Kassapa Buddha, and Gautama Buddha, 4 Buddhas has already appeared. One more Buddha, one more Buddha to appear in this planet, that is Mitteya Buddha, Mitteya Buddha. So future Buddhas and present Buddha during the current dispensations of Gautama Buddha. Ariyas, noble ones, have been dwelling in the same Ariyavasa. So if asked where noble ones have dwelt in the present, you answer, these Buddhas, these Ariya also have dwelt in Ariyavasa. The dispensations of the Gautama Buddha is considered to be current, and it will be so for centuries to come. So those who have become noble ones during our Buddha's dispensation are considered the current residents in the abode of noble ones. So there will appear countless noble ones during the dispensations of future Buddhas, such as Mitteya Buddha, and so on. These areas, these noble ones, all will dwell in this very Ariyavasa. So in this sense, it is called the abode of noble ones, Ariyavasa. And Buddha described the abode of noble ones, Ariyavasa, to be constituted of 10 features. Ita bhekkhwe bhikkhu pinchinga vipinodi chalinga samanagato ikarekho Turapasino panona bichika sicho samawaya satisano anawila Singapore pasada gaya singaro suimoda cheto suimoda pinyo. 10 features, 10 Ariyavasa Dhamma. This is exactly what the Buddha spoke in Pali language, describing the 10 features of the abode of noble ones. Based on this sermon, we are going to draw the Dhamma guidelines. Later we will translate and elaborate this passage. Very amazing passage. So if you understand Pali, it would be very pleasant to hear the recitations of Pali text. Some yogis having good knowledge of Pali, and they said that they felt the surging flush of rapture, pity, when they heard Pali discourses recited. Just imagine how much elated they would feel if they were to hear a Pali sermon delivered by the fully enlightened Buddha himself. Such feeling is called Dhamma piti, that may arise from mere recitations of Pali sermon like this, or from appreciation of the discourse that reflect his or her Dhamma experience. But some people are not very familiar with Pali and would get bored of hearing it for long and would even become drowsy and nodding. So we have to translate the passage. So Buddha said, Bhikkhus, there are 10 features of abodes of noble ones, in which the noble ones dwelt in the past, noble ones still dwelling in the present, and noble ones will dwell in the future. What are the 10s? Here a bhikkhu has abandoned 5 factors. Number 2, a bhikkhu has been endowed with 6 factors. Number 3, bhikkhus is with 1 protection, 1 guard. A bhikkhu is with 4 supports. And number 5 is bhikkhu has dispelled personal truths. And number 6 is bhikkhu has totally abandoned all suches. And number 7 is bhikkhu is endowed with unpolluted thoughts. Number 8, bhikkhu is with tranquilized bodily function. Number 9, bhikkhu is with a well-liberated mind. And the last one is bhikkhu is with well-liberated wisdom. So what means bhikkhu? What bhikkhu means? Bhikkhu is 2 kinds. One used in Sutta sermons and another used in monastic code. So you need to understand from Sutta and Vinaya. So in the Buddha sermons, bhikkhu is defined as one who see the dangers in samsara, who see the torturous cycle of birth and death, samsare bhaya ekatiti bhikkhu. So you see the dangers in life, you see the dangers in samsara. Samsara life is not pleasant, life is totally dukkha, suffering, unsatisfactory. Samsara dukkha, samsara life is not pleasant, totally dukkha. So when the person sees this samsara dukkha, samsari bhaya ekatiti bhikkhu, that person is called bhikkhu. Patipanako hi devo va hotu manusawa bhikkhuti sinchang gichati. Anyone who practice, whether celestial or human beings, is called bhikkhu. So anyone, whether celestial or human beings, can be called bhikkhu if he or she practice Dhamma. Why he practice Dhamma? In order to be liberated from suffering, in order to be liberated from samsara, the torturous cycle of birth and death. Life is really suffering, birth is suffering, decay is suffering, sickness is suffering, death is suffering, association with those we do not like is suffering, separation from those we like is suffering, not to get what we want is suffering. In short, the five aggregates, the Namarupa are suffering. And you don't want to have aging, you don't want to have sickness, you don't want to have death again and again. So samsara dukkha, we need to see, we need to understand. Alternatively, bhikkhu is defined as one who remove the kilesa, who destroy mental defilements. Kilese bindaditi bhikkhu. The person who destroy mental defilements, the person who remove mental defilements only by practicing Dhamma, but not otherwise. So the more you practice Dhamma, the more mental defilements you can destroy. So you're not satisfied to practice 1 month, 2 months you practice, not ordinary practice, not ordinary retreat, intensive practice, diligent practice. The more you practice Dhamma, the more you can destroy mental defilements. If you practice a little bit, you can destroy kilesa a little bit. If you practice a lot, you can destroy mental defilements a lot. If you practice completely, you can destroy mental defilements completely and become an arahant, a fully enlightened person. So through the sila practice, sila training, the observance of moral precepts, you destroy the vitakama kilesa, transgressive form of mental defilements as greed, hatred, delusion, and so on. When the mental defilements become strong, they are most likely to motivate you to commit transgression, like killing, stealing, telling lies, and so on. So by practicing sila, by undertaking precepts to refrain from killing, stealing, telling lies, etc., you destroy, you remove such transgressive form of mental defilements. And through the concentration practice, samadhi bhavana, you destroy the mental defilements that would otherwise become active in your mind. That is pariyotthana kilesa. In terms of selfish thoughts, hateful thoughts, and so on. So by practicing samadhi bhavana, concentration, meditation, you can remove mental defilements. that would become active in your mind. And vipassana practice, the development of mindfulness leaves no room for potential defilements. That is anusya kilesa to become active. In this sense, every moment of your mindfulness means destroying the potential defilements moment by moment or bit by bit, like every X stroke that cuts the unwanted fragments of wood layer by layer. Or it is like every spade scoop that takes out the unneeded soil load by load. So every time you are aware of phenomena that are manifested at the six senses, yogis are destroying the mental defilements layer by layer. So you need to note every time, you need to be aware of every phenomena, every object, every moment, every purchase. So in this sense, every moment of mindfulness means moment by moment destructions of mental defilements through the vipassana insight knowledge. So yogis who is dedicated to such destructions of mental defilements is called bhikkhu, because moment by moment you are removing mental defilements by noting very carefully. That is what bhikkhu means in the sermon called Sutta. So you all yogis are Suttanta bhikkhu, kilese bhintititi bhikkhu. The bhikkhu mentioned in the monastic code is called Vinaya bhikkhu. So you see the Vinaya bhikkhu, that is the one who is ordained as a monk when he was about 20 years old. He went to the Sima, he shaved his head and wear the robe. He ordained as a monk and he abides by all the monastic rules and regulations. During the Buddha's time, monks were ordained in many different ways. There are many noble ones who were ordained by the Buddha just by addressing them as bhikkhu or ehi bhikkhu. That means bhikkhus come on. Buddha called them. Buddha addressed them. Ehi bhikkhu. Bhikkhus come on. The Dharma has been well expounded. Live a holy life to put an end to the suffering. Ehi bhikkhu, swakato dhammo, charabhyamachariyan, sammadukasa antakiriyaya. Buddha said to that person, as soon as that person is thus addressed by the Buddha, that person suddenly turns into a well-dressed bhikkhu, monk, on that very spot. It is not necessary to shave his head. It is not necessary to to look for robes, he automatically becomes a bhikkhu, suddenly turns into a well-dressed bhikkhu. In most cases, however, bhikkhus were those who were ordained by members of the Sangha by reciting the Kamavacha. Nowadays, many bhikkhus, all the monks were Kamavacha bhikkhu. Kamavacha means an official announcement made by Sangha according to monastic code in the consecrated boundary Sima Hall. Here, Sangha means group of monastic representative that include 4, 5, 10 or 20 monks as required by certain kinds of monastic function such as ordination, confession of sins, Katina ceremony, fortnightly recitation of monastic code, Patimokkha and so on. Among them, ordination nowadays need to be done by the Sangha of 5 monks at least by making Kamavacha announcement in the Sima Hall. So bhikkhu concerned here is the bhikkhu found in the Bodhisattva's Sutta. So whether a lay person or monastic or human or celestial beings, anyone is called bhikkhu if you practice morality, if you practice concentration, and if you practice wisdom. So according to these definitions of bhikkhu, the passage mentioned in the beginning should be translated as, here a bhikkhu, here the person who sees the dangers of life, the dangers of samsara, or one who destroys mental defilements, lobha, greed, dosa, hatred, and so on. Mental defilements has abandoned 5 factors. So, pinjinga vipihino. That means to abandon the 5 factors, to abandon mental defilements. So we will continue tomorrow. We have to stop our discourse for today. So we are listening to the discourse on Ariyavasa. And you are practicing the Dhamma, you are practicing the Satipatthana meditation. You are building the Ariyavasa Dhamma. You are practicing the Ariyavasa Dhamma and you are dwelling in the Ariyavasa by practicing Satipatthana meditation continuously. So by practicing Vipassana meditation, by dwelling in the Ariyavasa Dhamma, by noting, rising, falling, sitting, touching, stretching, bending, seeing, hearing, continuously and meticulously, may all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. So, Ekayano ayam bhikkhave mego sadanam visodiyam Sogabari Devanam Samadegamaya Dukkha Domanasanam Atingamaya Nyayasa Adigamaya Nivanasa Sajigiriyaya Yadidam Jadara Sadibadana Kadame Jadara Ida Bhekkhave Bhikkhu Kaye Kayanubasi Viharati Adapi Sambhajanam Saddhima Vinayam Loge Abhijja Domanasam Vedanasu Vedananubasi Viharati Adapi Sambhajanam Saddhima Vinaya Loge Abhijja Domanasa Jete Jetanubasi Viharati Adapi Sambhajana Saddhima Vinaya Loge Avijja Domanasam Dhammesu Dhammanubasi Viharati Adapi Sambhajana Saddhima Vinaya Loge Avijja Domanasam. English translation. This is the only way, bhikkhus, for the purifications of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for reaching the noble path, for the realizations of nirvana, namely the four foundations of mindfulness. What are the four? Here in this teaching, bhikkhus just contemplating the body in the body, ardent, contemplating the consciousness in the consciousness, ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful, removing desire and discontent in the world. Bhikkhus contemplating the Dhamma in the Dhammas, ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful, removing desire and discontent in the world. Honoring and sharing merits.
That is on page 74.
Imaya Dhammanu Dhammapatipatiya Buddham Bujemi Imaya Dhammanu Dhammapatipatiya Dhammam Bujemi Himaya Dhammanu Dhammapatipatiya Sangham Bujemi Himaya Dhammanu Dhammapatipatiya Mata Vidara Ujemi Himaya Dhammanu Dhammapatipatiya Acariye Bujemi Adaimaya Patipataya Jaramaranama Parimojayasami Idame Bonya Asawakaya Waham Adu Idame Silam Megavalanya Pajaya Hodu Imano Punya Baga Savasadana Dema Sabe Sada Sukita Hondu